I'll be playing on the very fair and balanced legendary survival mode as my character, Handface, facing deadly challenges and incredible adventures. I'll dive deep into dark Daedric quests, fend off relentless hordes of the undead, battle ruthless bandits, and even go head to head with dragons. Along the way, I'll lose some friends, but I'll gain new allies who will stand by my side when the stakes are high. And yes, there will be some thievery, though things don't always go as smoothly as I'd hope. Let's see what Legendary Survival really has in store for us. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. I post new gaming videos every week, and right now more than 98% of my viewers aren't subscribed. Thank you. I wanted to start my adventure off with some undead purging. I camped just outside of the ritual sites where the undead had been spotted. I had been to Riverwood before, and this is where I decided to take Sven over Lydia. After resting in my campsite, Sven, Frost, my dog, and I charged the undead horde. I wielded my fire sword and used fire arrows to thin out the crowd when they were all focused on Sven. Unfortunately, the area of effect damage hurt my allies as well. Eventually, we managed to take down the horde. I healed everyone and looted some interesting books from the necromancers. Nearby, we discovered a cave. Inside the cave, we encountered a spell sword whose magic door had killed me earlier, so this time I let Sven handle it. I managed to stealth kill another spell sword, though he somehow dodged many of my arrows despite not seeing me. We moved forward and found a smaller cave packed with spiders. My fire sword was very effective against them, but the giant spider took me out in one hit. My light armor wasn't helping much in this battle. Switching to fire arrows, I was able to kill the giant spider, and we freed a woman caught in the webs. She told us to clear the cave so that she could escape. As we cleared the path, we faced more spell swords and spiders, until we finally reached a tough orc who summoned an ice acronaut. He killed me multiple times and even killed my dog. After reloading, we finally managed to corner him and take him down together. His loot was impressive, and the chest nearby held some good gold too. The remaining spell swords were spread out. Sven took one down, and I handled another. I gave Sven all of the staffs that I'd collected, but he killed a pet fox named Pumpkin, and for some reason resurrected it to fight for him. After dealing with the last of the spell swords, I informed the woman that the coast was clear and she could leave. I left the cave and stumbled into a cave full of wolves. The ice wolves proved deadly, capable of killing me in just one or two hits, and they were extremely fast. There was nothing in the cave but frustration, a complete waste of time. On the road, I encountered a bully who badmouthed me, and I dealt with him swiftly. Inside the shack he was guarding, a powerful bandit took me down over 15 times. In the end, I used my bow to finish her off. Sadly, she had killed my dog. I took a piece of him as a keepsake. While looting, I found a switch that led to a hidden bandit hideout. In the hideout, we were rushed by two bandits. We killed them pretty easily. Then I discovered the bodies of dead Khajiit merchants, dumped by the bandits. Deeper in, I ran into a larger group of bandits. They were stronger than I'd anticipated, killing me quickly with only a few hits. All of them were highway bandits, posing a much tougher challenge than I had expected. I made my way to Falkreath. I spoke to the Jarl. Unfortunately, he was quite unhelpful, more interested in mead than giving me any tasks. I couldn't get any missions from him until I found some mead. However, I heard a rumor about a talking dog. Curious, I set off to find it. Sure enough, the dog could speak, and it told me it needed help with a dispute between him and his master. He mentioned a reward, which was enough to convince me. After a long journey, I followed him to a cave. Inside the cave, I encountered my first vampire. The first two were really easy, but the third vampire summoned the dead to aid her, making the fight tougher. The cave showed clear signs of feeding on human flesh and blood. I fought a few more vampires along the way, including a thrall wielding a two-handed warhammer. My light armor wasn't doing me any favors. I was still being one-shot by powerful weapons, which was getting tedious. I considered switching to heavy armor for better protection. I just need to level it up first. In the last area, the dog was already battling a group of vampires. They were tough, but I managed to take out the weaker ones first using my mace and special arrows. We then defeated the master vampire together. The shrine then instructed me to retrieve an axe. I liked the dog and decided to continue the quest later on. As I left, I enjoyed a beautiful quiet walk during an orange sunset. I took a stagecoach to Riften to meet with the Thieves Guild. As I entered, I was ambushed by a thief. I met with Mercer and sold off my stolen goods. Curious about the thief who attacked me, I followed a lead from a note, which directed me to a beggar. He passed along another message, instructing me to check a strongbox. Afterward, my Thieves Guild quests all pointed to Solitude. In Solitude, I tracked down the lizard I needed to talk to for the Thieves Guild job. I needed to steal some fire brandy for the lizard to provide me with information, a form of bribe. I also took a land deed from another job and placed it in the designated spot. I stole the fire brandy, gave it to the lizard, and followed him to the docks. I had to keep hidden as he led me into a restricted area. Unfortunately, Sven, my dog, and I were spotted, forcing us to kill a guard. The area had plenty of hides and iron ignots, but Sven refused to carry them, acting strangely and claiming I wasn't allowed there. I had to leave and then handed everything over to Sven outside, as he was being unexpectedly difficult. We had a drawn out battle with the guards, about 40 minutes of hit and run tactics, dying repeatedly and re-attempting each encounter. I cut out most of it to keep things watchable at least. At one point, my dog fell behind, so I circled back to him, and from there we managed to gain an advantage. We finally took down one of the three guards, then I used a shout to knock another into the water. He must have drowned, as he never returned. That left us to focus on the final guard, whom we eventually defeated. Afterward, we found a hidden cave and took down two bandits. Orc enemies are seriously tough, but we pressed on, battling more bandits until one with a powerful bow arm sent me up and away. My dog and I pushed forward, but for some reason Sven was nowhere to be found, until I jumped into the water and saw him trading insults with a bandit. Eventually, Sven unglitched himself, and together we defeated the last enemy. Afterward, I looted everything, though there wasn't much of great value. I talked to the lizard and headed to Solitude. I crafted daggers and helmets, boosting my smithing skills. I also traded gear with Sven and switched to heavy armor to stop getting one shot by everything. Next, I decided to tackle a Daedric quest I'd postponed for a while. On the way, I heard a dragon's roar, but this time I felt prepared. I readied my crossbow, and when the dragon landed, Sven, my dog, and Frost joined me in attacking. We struck it when it landed and shot at it mid-flight, eventually grounding it. Sadly, I made a wrong move and ran straight into its mouth. After several retries, a high elf joined the battle, and together we managed to bring down the beautiful blood dragon. We finally reached the temple, where darkness surrounded everything. The corpses there had a surprising amount of gold, more than I'd ever seen. As I activated the beacons, I encountered corrupted shades. Thankfully, they weren't too challenging, and it felt good to face enemies one-on-one without relying on my allies. For the first time, I could fight independently, switching weapons and moving freely in combat. When I reached the final chamber, I activated the last beacon, but then the door shut behind me. Trapped, I was overrun and killed by a swarm of corrupted shades. The necromancer was incredibly frustrating. His attacks could somehow go through walls, and on top of that, Sven kept sticking to his bow, refusing to charge in and fight like a proper ally. The necromancer's ice attacks kept getting me, even through cover. I tried a new strategy by staying near the doorway to avoid getting surrounded by shadows, but his ice attacks' huge area of effect wiped me out. After countless attempts, my patience was wearing thin. We gave it another go, this time being extra cautious. Finally, we managed to take him down. Just as I was about to celebrate, his shade emerged, one-shotting me in an instant and sending me right back to square one. Frustrated, I gave it yet another try. When his health was low, I backed off, using my bow from a distance while my dog and a summoned zombie charged him. Sadly, the zombie was practically useless, but at last we managed to kill both him and his shade. Looting the place, I found an unbelievable amount of gold, enough to consider buying a house. And as a reward, I received the Dawnbreaker, easily the coolest weapon I'd obtained so far. It was perfect for taking down the undead. Afterward, I travelled to Dawnstar, where I spoke to a priest about the city's people being plagued by nightmares. He wanted me to follow him to the Nightcaller Tower, but I was exhausted and in no mood for another quest. I slept, and when I woke up, the city was under attack by a dragon. I used my crossbow, and the entire community, including the priest, joined in the fight. With everyone's help, we finally brought down the dragon. The townsfolk gathered around, thanking me and cheering. I even gave a quick demonstration of my power, though a guard quickly asked me politely to knock it off. That's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.